Hello, you beautiful people. My name is Casey Mugan, and I want to very quickly apologise for the sound quality, which I imagine is probably dropped a fair bit. At least I hope it has. There's an issue right now with the microphone. Hopefully, it will be fixed by the next episode, if not, most definitely the episode after. But got to record, and I've got the time to right now, so I've got to. And we're heading into our uh, first episode of the second season. Those were the words I was looking for. As we're going to be facing Manchester City and, depending on time, also Arsenal today. The two best teams in the league pitted up against us to open our season. It's not a very fun time to be me. Of course, last season we did not finish all too badly at all. If we look at the year before, Arsenal ran away with the league title on 91 points. Man City and Spurs joined on 71 in second and third, respectively, United in fourth. The big story was Liverpool, who managed to just barely finish in seventh on 59 points, which was the same as fifth, all the way down to ninth. So, 5 teams finishing on exactly the same points, but it was goal difference that mattered the most. Of course, our draw with Liverpool is what denied them fifth position, but seventh, it's definitely not good enough. Crystal Palace, by the way, had went from, I believe it was fourth, all the way to eighth in a matter of 2 games. So that tells you how close the league table was last year, but we're hoping to take an extra step forward and try and find ourselves in around that position next at the end of this season. I'm really struggling for words here. I blame the new microphone. But let's talk about new transfers, the ins and outs. And to tell you that, first, I think it's important to mention we have £52 million in the transfer kitty. Now, this is technically more like, let's say, 41 million here and there. But we started the season on 30. I have made signings, and we've ended up with £10 million more to spend. There's more than enough money to bring in a really key player. But who has came in and who has left? And there has been quite a lot. Let's first talk about the transfers in, because that's at the very top. And I'm going to scroll down there so you don't see all too much. Milan Roll, we of course already knew, was joining the club. He was by far our most expensive signing for £20 million. And he had a relatively okay season last year. He only really played at the business end. But we're hoping, and we already know he can be good, we're hoping he can really step up. Rafael Guerreiro was another player who we knew was leaving the club, was joining, at the start of this year. His contract has just expired and he's joined us as our new all-round player. Can play left back, all the way up to right wing, striker, centre back, midfield, whatever you need. Rafa Guerreiro is the man to ask, and for me at least, I expected him to be more of a midfielder, but things have changed slightly in the team, and we'll look at why in a while. But a veteran, Bundesliga winner, international, anything you could want, I'm very excited to join. Andre Blanc is the new centre-back we brought in, young 21 years old from Red Bull Salzburg. It's not Rasenball Sport. From Red Bull Salzburg. 21 years old, 6'2". Physically, he looks an absolute demon. Mentally, there's obviously some improvements as well as technically. But overall, looks a really solid player, and he was brought in for just £5 million. And that tells you the story of our signings. It's focused on where the teams who are undervalued players. And they're undervalued not because of their ability or anything of that nature. They're undervalued because the team that they play for doesn't have the money. Or the team they play for doesn't have the reputation to sell players for more money. They can't afford to keep a player like Andre Blanc if Everton come in for them. Unlike that though, Malo Gusto actually has joined in from Chelsea at 23 years old. Malo Gusto's been around the block, already has 125 appearances, was a relatively consistent performer for Chelsea a couple of years up until last year when he didn't really perform. Was brought in for £27 million 4 years ago now. And I'm hoping, again, at 23, this is a guy who could really develop and become one of our top players, in my opinion. There is an agreement to sign if if things go well. I'm not too sure where you even see that, though, I'll be honest. But yes, there is an agreement to sign. I'm not too sure how much it is anymore, and the game's bad because how the fuck do I see? Contract, loan club, here we go. Optional future fee is £61 million. I doubt we'll pick it up, but it's there if necessary, I suppose. Yeah, 61 million's a bit steep, I'll admit that. And then there was one final transfer in, and that was Thomas Churi from Slavia Prague. He was brought in for just £6 million, 31 years old, and he has 16 finishing, 17 heading, 17 bravery, 16 off the ball, 18 balance, 18 jumping reach, 19 strength. And that's ignoring all the others in the 14s, 15s, 6'6". I think as a backup to Tieno Barry, I don't think you can be complaining too much. Thomas Jury looks an absolute superstar in the making for just £6 million. Altogether, we've spent £11 million plus $1 million on the loan from Augusto, and then 20 million that we had no control over with Milan Raw. We didn't ask to sign him. We didn't offer to sign him. That was made by the board. But then let's move on to players being sold. We already knew Seamus Coleman was leaving on a free to Copenhagen. James Tarkowski has gone to Norwich City for £3.4 million. I don't think that's a bad deal on this. I hadn't known. This is really cool. So, as a manager, we made £3.4 million profit, of course. Tarkowski was signed for more than that, I'm sure, when he joined. No, it is just a pure £3.4 million profit, as he was brought in on a fee. Jonas Vind, who barely paid for his last season, save for a few, I think it was 5 starts he made, has been sold for £19.5 million to Al Hilal. I think that's a relatively realistic sale. Same with James Tarkowski. Tarkowski wants to stay in England, still has that ability. Vind, he's not old, he's also not young. He's just had a poor season that's really damaged his reputation. Al Hilal obviously are going to be interested in Premier League quality strikers that Jonas Vind is, someone who's young, and Vind's going to be happy to take the paycheck. Speaking of, Michael Keane has also gone to Saudi Arabia for Al Hazem. He's left for £500,000. Another realistic sale, in my opinion. A veteran who's got some decent name value in England's international. Yeah, I think that makes sense. Harry Tyler left for Fulham on a free transfer. It's a shame he was a talented young goalkeeper, but nothing that we really care about. Carlos Alcaraz has gone to Torino on loan. Of course, was out on loan in January last season. We're just hoping to keep him getting that game time. We think he could be an exciting young player, 23 years old. He's valued highly. We have agreed a new contract for another 5 years, but he needs game time to develop and become the player we think he can be. Hopefully that happens in Serie A. And then a few others with Roman Dixon, Francis Gomez, Kingsford Bokeh going out on loan. And then the last two, which I do actually matter. First of all, the big one, Ramon Hendricks has been sold to Al Ittihad. Our third player heading to Saudi Arabia, and this time it's the 25-year-old fullback. Had a breakout season for us last year with 7 assists and 3 goals in 34 appearances. Even got a man of the match from left back. Was signed for just £3.2 million. We tenfold the price tag to Al Ittihad as he goes for £32 million. This is where most of our money came from, and it hurts to sell. I can't deny that losing Ramon Hendricks isn't a tough loss. He was one of our very best players last season. But at the same time, you've got to be happy with that profit and that price tag. £32 million for a left back we signed for £3.2 million. And the idea for right now is Rafa Guerreiro will replace him. If he has any issues, we have the money to bring in a new left back. We also had Nasnu, and we also have one of the big parts of bringing in Malo Gusto. You can play either side. Nathan Patterson can happily play on the right. Gusto can happily play on the left. Lastly, Martin Sharif has gone out on loan to Fleetwood, and the reason I wanted to bring him up is I think Sharif could be a very good young player for us. He was on loan at Rotherham last season and spoke of how happy he was. 10 goals and an assist. He genuinely came to us after the loan and was like, yeah, that loan at Rotherham was amazing. I feel like I'm really developing. He's now gone down an extra league to Fleetwood, which isn't great. And he didn't score in his first game, but the hope is he can have a really big year in Fleetwood, and from there we can start to develop him a little bit bigger and bigger. So how does that leave the squad as we're heading into Manchester City? Well, it's not entirely fair to say this is how the team looks, because this is how the team looks against Man City and probably against Arsenal. It's a 5 at the back, but that's not the usual lay of the land. I think that's fair to say. Rafa Guerreiro does start at left back for now, as does Henri Blanc. That's just because Jacob Bryan's injured. Stefan de Vrij, Brandweight continue their positions in the midfield. Malo Gusto replaces Nathan Patterson at right back. Keenan Dewsbury-Hall steps in for James Garner as he has a slight injury and we don't want to start him the full game against Man City. Yves Bissouma, Merlin Raw, Efrain Alvarez and Tino Barry maintain those positions up top. Merlin Raw is not someone who I'm completely sold on him being the consistent out-and-out left winger. Dwight McNeil currently is in the reserves. He's not on the bench. And we did look at one specific player who would replace him, and his name was Thiago Palacios. We went in for him. At the time, he was valued around £8 million. He's now had his valuation upwards of £23 million when trying to negotiate. We were happy to pay that with some additional fees that added up to around £23 million, but the board told us that we were absolutely insane and cancelled the deal on us, which I thought was actually a really cool little feature, but it was frustrating, so we weren't able to bring in Thiago Palacios. Instead, now we are searching for our new winger, and we have a few on the scouting list. Aral Simshir from Wolfsburg, we are scouting. We're also scouting Zito Luvumbo from Cagliari, who is one of my number one picks. It's between him and Ro Zangelo Dal from AZ Alkmaar. Both very exciting, young, dribbling-focused wingers. Andre Luis, in the exact same mood from Rio Ave, the Brazilian, is someone to keep an eye on. Aran Khalil is exactly the same position, 21 years old from Union Saint-Gilles. The Israeli winger is a real talent who I'm not against trying to bring in. There is one other player we nearly signed, and that man was Matias Fernandez Pardo. We had an agreed deal for him to join from Lille for around £25 million, and the contract had been signed. Right as that contract was signed, 3 teams went in for him. PSG, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, and slowly but surely our interest got whittled down until he did sign for PSG. We're keeping an eye on this man, as if he doesn't get game time, I'd love to bring him in. The reason I'd love to bring him in is there is a new focus for me on having a box midfield. That is what I think this season could really do. How I want to do this, though, is slightly different. I want Tino Barry and a smaller, faster, little and large combination up front. The midfielders will become, well, the wide midfielders will become a little bit more of an inside forward. Rafa and Gusto can be more aggressive on the wings. And so it will become, a 4-4-2 where you'd have, I don't want to do this where you don't, it ruins how it looks, but essentially you'd have Blanc in that, or De Vrij up there, wingers in there, Gusto up there. You get the idea. The 4-4-2, inside midfielders, that box midfield. The 2 strikers can drop deep out of possession. It's something I'm looking at. For right now, though, the only sort of small, diminutive striker we have is Mark Dominic, who I do really like, but he's currently our backup winger, and that's why we need new wingers, because we need wingers to then not need wingers. I don't know, doesn't make sense fully, but in my head it does. Thomas Jury, you are registered now, my friend. You're on the bench. I'm confident that we're going to lose, and I'll see you for this game. And I do think this will be our one and only game, at least based on how this goes. Let's get into it. Go to match. Fucking hell. Numbers need to be given to Gusto and Chori. Gusto, I don't really want to give you number 3. I can give Chori the 9, but okay, I guess Gusto's number 3. That looks horrible. I won't deny that looks horrible. Right, well, let's get into this match. I'm quietly confident. Obviously, a victory would be a hell of an achievement. 3 points is not something I've got on my list here to just casually go and take. But there's definitely a future now. As you may see in that top right corner, Vinicius Jr. was signed for £125 million for Man City, which is a lot of money. He will be another key addition to this squad to keep an eye out for, but right now we're doing a pretty good job at neutralising them. 3 shots all around, a shot on target for City, none for us. They are dominating possession. We're going to go slightly more defensive, which I think is fair. Immediately after going defensive, a highlight kicks off. I'm not very happy about that, I'll be honest. Gvardiol to Ake. Rodri now to Gvardiol again. Vinicius Jr. That's some lovely football as it finds its way out to Savinio. And Vinny, his shot takes a bit of a deflection. All the speed falls out of it. Pickford clears away. Not very far, but Gusto's there. And Gusto beats his man. Malo Gusto with some very nice football to find Matis Roll. Is it a ball? Is it a bomb? It's Alvarez couldn't quite get there ahead of Donnarumma. GG just too big. And that is, there's only so much a man like Alvarez can do. But we are doing a pretty good job here of winning this ball right back. And Rafa Guerreiro, who's inverting to be our most advanced playmaker, helping alongside Basuma. Really nice football, finds Alvarez. Back to Gusto. Gusto to Alvarez. Goes for goal. It's blocked and roll. Merlin Roll really should have made that 1-0. Donnarumma makes the save. But that is some lovely football. And Rafa Guerreiro showing his worth already. 25 minutes into the season. The positioning that he was in for that pass and just helping build up play was perfection. And I'm a big fan of this playmaking wing-back role. I think it's a really good role in this new game. Obviously a brand new big save for Pickford. I think we're going to start talking about playmaking wing-backs, and let's see if we can have a bit of defensive midfielders. Rico Lewis in that same position, bringing it forward. Philip Foden back to Vinny. Rodri. And this is some nice football here on the left hand side. Yves Basuma just kind of watching the ball go past him. Then it's fired inside to Foden. Silva, Savinho. Haaland was offside. Alongside that is weaker right foot. The shot did go just wide. But City now really starting to pile on the pressure. Pickford collects that corner kick. And this is where we can break. And we don't need to go fast. Though Pickford does launch that forward look for Tino Barry. Headed away, but Yves Basuma collects. Basuma goes for goal from a long way out and just over the bar by a couple metres. I'm sure there were a few fans ducking. We will have to make a change at half-time. Blanc, who's had a pretty good game so far, will have to be substituted off as fitness is a concern. Luckily, we have Jake O'Brien available, who is a top defender and is our starting defender alongside Brandwaite. So I'm not too worried with that. Erling Braut Haaland. Nice football from Savino and Fans Haaland, who had just disappeared. That was incredible movement. He was on the right hand side for half a second and then suddenly was in the box behind Stefan de Vrij, who couldn't keep up. Now, we had an offer for Stefan de Vrij on loan that we didn't accept. I felt he had a lot to give. That may come to bite us with that penalty kick decision. A really poor tackle. And Haaland just effortless into that bottom right corner. There's not much we can do. We're losing by a goal to nil, but I think we can be pretty happy with how the result's actually going. Half time. I'm just trying to think of anything to do. Should we be going an attacking midfielder? I don't think so. I think we can be relatively happy with how this is going. Jake O'Brien can come on, and I'm going to bring Vola for Dominique. He's just going to be that wide forward as well. And I think that can do a little bit of help. So we essentially have three strikers. We don't really have wide players now, but maybe that can help us. Oof, what a tackle by Stefan de Vrij. Trying to show his worth. He's currently playing the worst of anyone on the pitch, so I'm not against him trying to step up his game in the second half. Really surprised by how much Stefan de Vrij has struggled this season. Well, since we've signed him better, it's only the first game of the season. Yeah, the veterans not being able to keep up with the Premier League. Rafa Guerreiro, nice little interception. I'm not against this. If we can basically have it where Man City are passing in front of us, not behind us. There's that shot from Silva. It wins a corner, but I don't think that's anything to worry about too much. Yeah, I mean, 50 minutes in. And I think it's relatively even. I am really trying to look at what could be done. I think I'm just happy with the way we're working. Gusto, oh, forces a bit of panic there from the City defence. The shot wasn't on target. Gigi didn't need to make a save, but the important thing there is he got in. Tito Barry might be coming off here. Keenan Dewsbury Hall's another one. Dominique's picked up a slight injury, but I think he'll be okay. I'm going to bring Dewsbury Hall off first for James Garner. Tino Barry has that propensity to just pop up with a goal when he's needed, as does Efrain Alvarez. Speaking of, the two link up here. Gusto, on his debut, is looking pretty good, I have to admit. Both fullbacks looking like improvements on last season's. Guerreiro, what a pass that is to Alvarez, just to prove my point. And there it is. Just as I say, Alvarez and Barry, they've got a propensity to score, and the fullbacks are looking good. Rafa Guerreiro with one of the best passes you'll see, switching the play, cross field. Alvarez cuts inside, and it's perfectly in that top corner. Donnarumma couldn't reach it. We score from open play, the only team to do so. Thomas Chaudhry will come on for these last 10 minutes as we search to see can we get a second goal and leave this game with a shot 3 points. 1 point I'm happy with, but it would be great if we could somehow get that second. The rest of the team's going to stay as it is, and it looks like we are going to just wind down the clock here. One last highlight on the 93rd minute. Donnarumma with the goal kick. And it's stressful here, as either City can just play through us, and that's what it's looking like. Haaland. Oh. You couldn't write it. It's a goal kick, and it is some horrific defending. After doing so well all game, Doku picks it up on that right hand side. Nobody tries to stop him. It's a simple ball through to Haaland. He makes it 2-1, and that is such a bad goal. I say it was a goal kick. One pass. And the whole team just disappeared. A 1-1 draw. Just snatching. And it won't fucking matter as there's yet again there's a crash. It's no longer the beta, but you're seeing a black screen for a reason here. That's so poor. How can you be in the full game and not only does your game engine look like that? Now it gets not all of it's gonna be perfect, but you can't be playing like that. You can't be conceding goals like that and to just crash. I'm sorry that you just stayed at a black screen right now. I'm trying to load back up Football Manager. Luckily, it will only be the one game I'm missing out. Now, you won't see the actual game. You'll be left with this 2-1 on a black screen. But I did save just before the Man City game, I believe, at least. That's the important bit, I believe. But yeah, how can you have a full game? This is the full game release. There's no... And it's crashing. And I've been, in my opinion at least, I've been relatively positive around this game. I haven't had too many complaints. But to crash and to have such a bad game engine that goal went in, because I can somewhat ignore it. Sometimes shit goals happen. But that was a really bad goal that made no sense, that you'd never really see in real life. We're playing defensive, we're holding on for dear life, and not a player defends. Yeah, that crash has most certainly frustrated me. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Let me know in the comments if there's anyone who you think we should look into. Obviously, we've got money to spend, and you saw that game. We've got £52 million odds in the budget. That is the second time in this series, and we're only episode 9 that it's crashed. Eight episodes we've actually played, so 1 in 4 episodes results in a crash after the game. It's not good enough, I'll be honest. The game shouldn't be running like this. But thank you all, and I'll see you tomorrow.